I have a decent amount of games for the Nintendo Switch, and I have many memories and opinions about these games. After putting in at least 800 hours on my Switch, here is every single one. Well, that's a lie because I have a few digital games, but that doesn't matter because my collection is mostly physical. My first game in the collection is Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, which after a long time I am finally getting through. I have not finished all 3 games yet, so I don't know about everything in the game, but from my eyes, this entry into the Crash Bandicoot series was very good. As someone who has never before played a Crash Bandicoot game, I did find especially the first game quite hard to pick up, as the difficulty spikes literally in the first world were very annoying and nearly unbeatable because of the shifty controls. Even though these problems are pretty major, I do really like the time travel theme of the last game and the soundtrack is pretty good. I would give this game a 7 out of 10. My next game is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, a game I might make a full video about in the future, so I'll keep it short. This iteration in the Donkey Kong Country series is a must-play and one of the best 2D platformers of all time. This game puts you on a journey through the land of Donkey Kong and has great visuals, especially for the Wii U game. In addition, this port adds Funky Kong, one of the series' most loved characters, in the all-new easy mode. Playing 2 players is very fun, and overall this game is a great addition to anybody's Switch collection. This gets a very good 9 out of 10. Next comes a retro game collection called Disney Classic Games, including Aladdin and The Lion King. I have not played that much of these games as they are surprisingly very hard, but the collection is decent and it lets you play these games in the original resolutions, so no full screen gameplay. There is also a feature included where you can skip to any point in the 2 games and you can play different countries' versions of the game, such as either Japan, USA and Australian versions. Overall, this collection of 2 classic Disney games gets a 7 out of 10 for having some good games but not really captivating me. My next game is FIFA, or in particular FIFA 21. I'm just going to put all my FIFA games on Switch here, as this is my only physical one. I played many hours of FIFA 21 when I first got my Switch, as I was obsessed with the franchise and loved the idea of playing as any team from my favourite sport. Sadly, the version of FIFA on Switch is pretty bad and has not changed since FIFA 19, as it says on the back of the case. Even FIFA 19 was pretty bad on Switch, and once I got my PS5, I never touched this game or any of its counterparts on Switch again. For the lack of effort by EA, FIFA 21 on Nintendo Switch gets a 4 out of 10. Just Dance 2021 is the only Just Dance game I own, and I have played it surprisingly much. Even if it's not the most critically acclaimed game ever, Just Dance 2021 is actually pretty fun, and dancing to these songs with up to 4 of your friends and family is always a decent time. If you like dancing games and you don't own Just Dance, I don't know what to say. There are quite a few negatives, as the Just Dance Unlimited subscription locks most of the good songs behind closed doors with a paid subscription guarding it. The reward machine and character customization was a good motivator for me playing this long, and overall this game gets an 8 out of 10 from me. If you were to ask me what the best Switch game from 2019 was, I would definitely say Luigi's Mansion 3. The game perfectly mixes fun gameplay, pretty easy but intriguing puzzles, and great level design to create one of the best looking games on Switch. The way light and blowing hundreds of things away from you looks in this game is just beautiful, and makes the experience so much more enjoyable than if the devs didn't put this much attention into the graphical details. Apart from the graphics, this game's flaws are the mostly creative, and some really surprised me with the level of detail put into these levels. Even the side modes such as Online Scream Park or Scare Scraper, where you can play with up to 8 people on the same console. I don't even know when or where you could have this many people in the same room playing Luigi's Mansion, but it is a great addition. This game is not perfect, but it comes pretty close, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 for not doing anything too crazy. Okay, maybe that section was a bit too long, so let's keep Mario Party Superstars section short. When I first got my Switch, I decided not to get Super Mario Party because of its pretty bad reputation and absolutely no content, but when Superstars came out, I knew I had to get it. Mario Party Superstars is one of the best Switch games to play with others, and a lot of times when I play a Switch with someone else, we will be playing Mario Party. With over 100 very fun mini-games to choose from and an improved 5 boards, this collection of classic mini-games is great for basically anyone, whether or not they play games or not. My personal favourites are Pushy Penguins, Dungeon Duos, that Jumpy Mushroom one, Hide and Seek, Pizza Eating, and that crayon drawing thing. Out of the 100 mini-games in the game, there is bound to be at least one you are good at, so this game is great for almost everyone. For this reason, Mario Party Superstars receives a score of 8 out of 10, but was pretty close to a 9. I dropped some points here because of a lack of content and not that many characters. My most played game on Switch with nearly 200 hours is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This game is the top selling game on Switch for a reason, and like Mario Party, it is simple to understand and almost anybody can play it. With 96 completely, well mostly different courses and a battle mode and online play, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a massive game, especially if you buy the booster course pass. The character roster, even if it started small, has evolved into a great collection of the Mario franchise's best characters, and some of the courses such as Mount Wario, Big Blue, Rainbow Road and Tome Circuit, are so good, and you can put thousands of hours into this game without getting bored. Overall, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a near perfect game, and for that reason, it's today's first 10 out of 10. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle is an interesting one because I have recently played more of this game and I enjoy it more than I remember. I first got this game quite a while back, and even if I remember being quite disappointed with the scope and graphics of this game, even if Ubisoft was selling this game for only $20. After coming back, I'm not going to say that this is the best game I've ever played, but the combat mechanics and tactical focus are much more fleshed out and fun than I remember it being. For the reason of a Ubisoft game being actually good quality and decent amount of effort put into it, I give Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle a solid 8 out of 10, and I am excited to maybe buy the sequel once I finish this game. Next up is a game I was really excited for, but when it released was not what I expected. Mario Strikers Battle League is the latest entry into the Mario Strikers series. As I mentioned before, I love soccer and soccer games in general, so when I played my first match of this game, the mix of absolute brutality and fun core gameplay was actually really fun. The only problem is that I beat every cup in the game in about 1 hour, and after that there was nothing to do other than try to find a non-existent lobby online. Sure, the stadiums look very cool in the cutscenes, but there is no difference at all in the different stadiums when playing apart from them having different coloured grass. Imagine thinking that the idea of purple grass would make this game's players excited. Other than that, the game started out with a tiny roster of only 8 players, and when all of the new characters, which still wasn't much, came out, I was already done with the game anyway. Overall, Mario Strikers Battle League has some great core gameplay but absolutely no content to earn itself a 5 out of 10. Moving on to a much better Mario sports game, Mario Tennis Aces was one of the first games I owned for Nintendo Switch, and I had a blast with it. There's a reason why this is one of my most played games on Switch, and it is because of the gameplay. This tennis game has a large amount of depth in all the different moves. Because I only started playing after most of the character updates, the roster was pretty impressive as you got to play as characters never before playable like Chain Chomp. Other than this, I spent a decent amount of time on the story mode, and Mario Strikers would have heavily improved with a story mode even half of the length of this one, and within the story mode was not just game after game, but some decently fun mini games and training courses. I love how you would have to play the story mode to unlock some courses for the normal mode, as it gave me that extra reason to play through the story mode. Overall, this game is great and gets an 8 out of 10 for still being pretty short and the online being dead. My first and only introduction to the Metroid series was through Metroid Prime Remastered, and judging by the amazing reviews for the game, I don't think I'm the only person who thinks this is a masterpiece. The original game was amazing, but this remaster improved everything. The graphics here look stunning and better than most new first-party Switch games, and the gameplay feels smooth and fun. I loved exploring every region of this new version of Talon 4 and gradually unlocking new additions to the suit. The gunplay was very satisfying, and picking up the health orbs after killing a bunch of annoying fly thingies felt so rewarding. I might make a video about this game later, so I'll pause here, but if Metroid Dread is as good as this, I definitely need it in my collection. I was so close to giving this game a 10, but compared to some of the other 10s on this list, I'm giving Metroid Prime Remastered a top of the range 9 out of 10, and I can fully recommend it to any fans of the genre. NBA 2K23 is a funny story because I have never played it. My sister actually got it for her birthday, but when we put it in the Switch, we realized that even if every single game on the console was deleted, we still would not have enough space for it, and we were not buying a $100 micro SD card. After weeks of not being able to sell this annoying game, we gave up, and now it sits here on the shelf collecting dust forever. I don't know if it was a good game or not, but for this reason it gets a 2 out of 10 just because the cover art looks good and I like the NBA games on PlayStation. After years of waiting, Nintendo fans around the world thought that they were getting a new amazing 2D Mario game for the Nintendo Switch, but instead they all got pranked with not so new Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. This game was a teeny bit fun for some time, but the mechanics were old, the characters were limited, and Super Luigi U made me cry. We all know what happened 4 years later in 2023, and for that reason, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe sits here right next to 2K23, never to be played again, but both for completely different reasons. Probably a 6 out of 10. Wii Sports was one of the greatest successes in gaming history, so what happens when they try to recreate the magic 16 years later with horrible characters, mediocre sports, and absolutely no personality? They get Nintendo Switch Sports. Now, despite what I said, Nintendo Switch Sports does has a bit of personality in the form of costumes, but those just capitalize on the fear of missing out, and most of them are pretty shit costumes anyway. I mean, do you ever play this game online and see someone else's costume that you actually really want? No. And that's probably because you never play this game online in the first place. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that Nintendo Switch Sports didn't live up to its predecessor on the Wii, but is still kind of fun if you're playing with someone who never plays video games, and is at least very easy to learn the motions for most sports, golf not included. This game gets a 6 out of 10 for being decent at best. Ubisoft these days are known to make cash-grabbing, grindy and unfun games, but the Nintendo Switch games they have put out have been a step in the right direction. Rayman Legends was a great game on the Wii U, but the definitive edition on Switch is definitely the best version of the game to play, and the levels, many characters and unique and interesting graphics make this game a great addition to my Switch collection. The collection of over 100 decently long levels with multiple collectibles creates many hours of replayability, and overall the Ubisoft did a great job in making a game that is fun for nearly all video game players. In the end, Rayman Legends is not a perfect game, and some of my complaints here are that the multiple characters, while all being visually distinct, all play exactly like each other. Apart from this, some of the levels toward the end of the game have some pretty funky controls, but for around $20, I'd say you can't go wrong with Rayman Legends, and it gets a solid 8 out of 10. Street Power Football is a game I have not played in quite a while, and even though I did not finish the campaign, I feel like this game is just alright. If you're a hardcore fan of the genre, this game is very cheap pre-owned and does give you the chance to perform a Pana style of football in small arenas pretty similar to each other. While it does have some different game modes, the gameplay is the same, and the different characters feel very similar to players. Overall, Street Power Football is an okay Pana game, but if you are just interested in the sport of football, I would recommend buying FIFA on an Xbox, PlayStation or PC, or getting a different, higher rated football game for Nintendo Switch. However, this game is just slightly higher rated than both our other football games in my collection, as Street Power Football receives a 6 out of 10. I have only 100%ed 3 games on Switch, my most recent of them being Bowser's Fury. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is a must-play game on Switch, and even if you played the original on the Wii U, I still think a replay is worth it, as well as playing all of the new content added. Let's start with Mario 3D World, a great experience with many hours of fun and smoother, faster controls added from the old version of the game. The 4-player gameplay makes it one of the best games to play with friends and family, and even has a pretty dead online where you can play with people around the globe. Now moving on, Bowser's Fury really steals the show as it is the most recent 3D Mario game, and while I did everything the game has to offer in around 8 hours, the open world provides a glimpse into what the future of 3D Mario games holds. This was not meant to be a massive mainline 3D Mario game, but it does cram tons of amazing ideas into this short experience. The music here absolutely slaps, and the level design of these different islands feels very fun to traverse. Plessie was expanded on in this game perfectly, and she is a speedy and fun way to travel between islands. This game gets my full recommendations, and even if it was just 3D World, the $60 price tag is fully acceptable. This incredible package gets itself the second 10 out of 10 in the video. The newest entry to the mainline Mario series is one that nearly nobody expected and became one of the most beloved games on the Switch. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a truly wonderful experience. The brand new mechanics here is the Wonder Flowers, which causes every level to have a dodonkulous transformation when collecting the Wonder Seed. This makes everything in that level go crazy, almost like a certain potion would make you feel. The level design is amazing, and even though this game is only two-dimensional, the feeling of exploration and finding secrets still feels excellent, and I find myself taking the opposite path a lot of the time because I want to find the secrets hidden in and around the level. Even though I am not a massive fan of the parts of the soundtrack with vocals integrated, overall the game has some great music, and the only other negative here is that the boss fights were quite underwhelming. Even for a 2D Mario game, Mario Wonder is an amazing and creative game, and I give it a 9 out of 10. Speaking of 10 out of 10s, you guys watching this are all amazing, and if you have enjoyed any of my videos on this channel, I would greatly appreciate you subscribing, as it does actually help me a lot. Anyway, let's get back to the video. Super Mario Maker was the first official game that allowed fans to create their own Mario levels and play millions of others made by players. Super Mario Maker 2 is an overall better version of the original Wii U game, and massive additions such as a World Maker, campaign mode, and slopes really improved the overall experience. The biggest update for me was the World Builder, which allowed me to create a full 2D Mario game in the style of the original Super Mario Bros., Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, New Super Mario, and the new 3D World style. The community of this game is also great, and just owning Mario Maker gives you an infinite number of levels to play through, all made by the community with the super easy and to understand level creating tool. Another part of this game is the story mode, and while the levels are not incredibly creative or anything, they are still made by Nintendo, all with the same tools given to you. Overall, Super Mario Maker 2 is a great game, but is definitely not for everybody, and if you're looking to just play a Nintendo made, more creative experience, I would suggest buying Mario Wonder instead. Overall, Mario Maker 2 gets an 8 out of 10 from me. If you ask me what my favourite Switch or even game in general is, most chances I would say Super Mario Odyssey. This game literally changed the way I played games. Before this game, I had played many multiplayer games before, like Fortnite, Roblox, Mario Kart, and many mobile games, but the first single-player story-driven game I had ever played was Super Mario Odyssey on my Switch. This game just blew me away with the world design, moveset, and soundtrack, along with some amazing graphics. I even 100% completed this game and have around 130 hours in it. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth about this game, because I am planning to make a full-length video about why I love this game so much, so if you would like to see that, please let me know in the comments. Anyway, this game gets a 10 out of 10 from me. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is another must-have Switch game that I have poured so many hours into, and for good reason. This game is near perfect, and all of the many game modes are fun and replayable. The multiplayer is amazing and really good to play with someone a bit more experienced, and the character roster is amazing as it literally brings back every single character ever in Smash, and with the DLC included, it amounts to 89 unique characters to play as. The game's mechanics are super fun, and the 20-hour story mode may not be extremely cinematic, but it doesn't need to be, as unlocking the thousands of spirits from nearly every Nintendo franchise and also some from non-Nintendo franchises are incredible. The stages here are all fun in their own ways, and there is infinite replayability value in this game. This incredible game gets another 10 out of 10 and is near perfect representation of the whole Super Smash Bros. Series. Sadly, I do not own Breath of the Wild, but I do own The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, one of the greatest, biggest, and most critically acclaimed open world games ever. This massive game is so big that I have not finished it, even though I have put so many hours into this massive game. I definitely could have finished it by now, but the literal hundreds of side quests have barely allowed me to advance in the story, only having complete one temple in the northwest of the map before fully exploring in the region and completing nearly every single character, interaction, side mission, Korok seed, and anything else you can think of. The map in this game, while I have not explored all of it, is at an incredible scale, and that's only speaking about the ground level taken a lot from Breath of the Wild. The sky islands and the depths basically double the size of the map compared to the first game, and the improvements made to the base map fix the main problems in Breath of the Wild, with the previously empty map being filled to the brim with caves, enemies, quests, collectibles, wildlife, nature, and things to build, climb, and explore. The story in Tears of the Kingdom is again heavily improved on, and the connection between many of the hundreds of characters feels much more personal and interesting, solving Breath of the Wild's other main problem. I could spend an hour here rambling on about Tears of the Kingdom, and if you'd like that video, please comment it down below, but overall, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom receives a near perfect 10 out of 10. The most recent Switch game to be added to my collection is the Stanley Parable, which I just recently bought. I have not played this game and do not know how much about it, but I have heard it is super trippy, and even though it is only about 5 hours long, I really do think it will be an experience worth spending $50 on. This section is going to be very short because I do not want to spoil the game for anybody, and I have not played it myself, so I will not be giving it a rating. Another short segment in the video is going to be about Trials Rising, a Ubisoft game made in 2019. This game, as well as many other Ubisoft titles, was very cheap in the shop and is a 2D motorbike game where you control your bike, trying not to make him fall over many different ramps and jumps. While there are many checkpoints, I usually do not enjoy this type of racing game, and you don't actually have to race on a track, and it feels more like a mobile game. There are also many microtransactions and loot boxes with gear for your bike and character, and overall I give this game a 6 out of 10. Finally, the final Switch game I currently own physically is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Now, even if the graphics aren't very pleasing, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is not about that, and is all about the actual questions you get asked. Along with the lifelines, the stakes of the amount of prize money growing while your questions get harder is actually really fun. I have spent many hours playing this, especially with my family, and I have unlocked multiple of the extra question packs, which are in my opinion more fun than the base game ones. Again, there are some content complaints, as the only way to play this game that I know of is the main mode, and I would have loved to see a couple side game modes even if they still had similar gameplay features. Overall, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire on Switch is a pretty decent game with a score of 7 out of 10. Now, this outro would be cool with some Nintendo music, but I don't want to get sued, so here's an even better banger.